Hello, hello, hello. This is Ellen Go, and welcome back to B is for Bullshit, where, bitch, this shit is draining. And today, B is for burnout, okay? B is for burnout, baby, because this stuff is hard. And by this stuff, I mean life, okay? It's not just work, it's not just your parents, it's not just your family members, it's not just your relationships, it's everything, right? We don't talk about how easy it is to get burnt out enough. And with the toxicity of work culture, of hustle, rise and grind, get up, make that money, go do that, it is easy to fall by the wayside when it comes down to feeling like this is something that we should be doing on the regular. This is how our life should go, right? I am 31 years old and I have two little white hairs in the front of my head from stress. I am a very youthful person, right? I still look relatively young. I'm not one of those people like, oh my God, I don't look my age. Like, I know, I just look relatively young. I age kind of slow, right? But I have two white hairs and they're not gray. It's not like it's gradually happening. Like, they're white and they're growing out of my scalp. Why? Because your girl is perpetually stressed, okay? And it seems like anything and everything is built to stress you out. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how you move about it, there will be stress. So, what can we do? Right? What can we do? Because there's no way to actually avoid stress. There's no way to make it like not exist. We can do all of the right things and there will still be stressors in our life. So, what can we do? How do we combat all of this? Well, let's talk about it. The bullshit today is stress. The bullshit today is burnout. And what is burnout? When we look at definitions of what burnout is, people have different things to say, but burnout is a state of deep physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion caused by long-term, unmanaged stress. In layman's terms, bitch, you doing too much. It's too much going on. Everything is just too much, okay? It usually leaves people feeling empty, cynical, and unable to perform daily tasks, often tied to jobs. It can happen from parenting, caregiving, or any heavy life pressures. So, yes, anything can cause you burnout. You can be burnt out by the simplest of things or the most complex of issues and problems. It really just does not matter. It does not differentiate or discriminate. And it's something that people like to pretend it's normal. Well, let's take that back. People don't pretend that burnout is normal, right? But burnout is a symptom of the system that we're currently in, and people pretend that the system is normal. We can talk about multiple things, but let's chalk it up to work because most people experience burnout from these crusty, dusty jobs, right? Working already is a social construct that I just don't understand. Who decided that they found consciousness one day and was like, you know what would be great? We all go to a place and do some stuff and then like maybe get paid and not, a decent wage all the time. But like, yeah, let's just all go to a place and factory and make stuff for other people and do stuff and make money. Who decided that was cool? Who decided that that's what they wanted to do? I don't know, but like, there's a special place and a special place for them. But we pretend that burnout or the system that creates burnout is normal. Okay? We work a lot. Okay? We work more than other places. There are other places in the world where they only have 32-hour work weeks, right? There are places like, I believe it's Italy, or it's like, I think it is Italy, where in the midday they have an hour of day where they just go sleep, right? They have siesta. They do all their work in the morning and then around like 1 or 2, they shut everything down. Everybody go take a nap. And then they'll open back up later for like the dinner rush and stuff like that. Places that have 32-hour work weeks, those people are working 4 days a week. They're not working 5 days a week. So they have 1 day out of the week to do the rest of their like life stuff, because part of the burnout that's coming from work is that we are working so much that we don't have time for life. Work-life balance is atrocious, okay? If you're working from 8:30 in the morning or 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, and all of the businesses that you need to do things with, right? Like your doctor's offices, like your dentist's offices, your kids' dentist offices, your kids' doctor's offices, anybody that you got business with, their hours are also 8 to 5. Well, if you're working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, when are you going to go to your doctor? When are you going to go to your dentist? When are you going to take your kids to their doctor? When are you going to take them to their dentist? When are you going to go and send your packages that you need to send? You can't, right? Unless you take time off from work. Well, what does that entail? It entails taking time off from work, yes, but also putting in PTO that can or can not be accepted based on a manager deciding what the needs of the company are and if they are more important than your needs as a human being, right? So, of course, you can't take care of yourself when you're working every day, all day. That's just what it is, right? So you have people like Bernie Sanders, who should have been my president. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did vote for that man in the primaries. People like Bernie, who say we need 32-hour work weeks, and he gets slammed for that very often. But you have places where this is working, right? That it hasn't ramped up the cost of production. It hasn't done all of these drastic things that the people here in the United States say it will do if we adopt this 32-hour work week. Because why? Because it's normalized. Because Henry Ford, fuck ass, Henry Ford said, "Hey, this is what we should do, right? Because I want to sell these fuck ass cars. So like, this is how we should go about that." And the people in office said, "You know what? This is a great idea." Absolutely, it gives the people something to do all day. People that are not tired have time to think about how fucked up the system is, right? But if we make them work 40 hours a week and they are tired and they don't have time to think about how fucked up the system is, they won't riot and railroad against us. They won't do those things because they won't have the time to do them. The system keeps everybody so tired that you don't have time to critically think. That's how we got people like Trump in office. You don't have time to critically think. When you get home at 5, you have to get the kids ready. You got to get ready you got to do dinner. You got to do kids' homework. You got to get them in the bed. You got to do all these things, right? You may have a few moments to sit down at the end of the day and watch the news. Hopefully it's not Fox News, but sometimes it's Fox News. And that's how we get Republicans. I promise you that's how we get Republicans. Yeah, so that's what happens. That's what we've been bought into. This 40-hour work week, that's what we've been taught. And you're not just taught this when you become part of the workforce. No. Look at the structure of your life. From the time that you're 5 years old, sometimes 6, depending on when your birthday is, you go into a system in which you go to school. And school is not the same hours, not 8 to 5, but like it's like 7 to like 3, sometimes 3:30, sometimes 4, depending on where you are, right? You go, you have bells telling you when you go to your next classes, when you're older anyway. You have to sit in one spot for long periods of time. You have to ask your teacher to go to the bathroom. You have to answer to, the adults around you. You get in trouble for free thought, usually, free thinking. That's work. learning how to work. They give you a preset lunchtime and you have to go there and you have to eat your food at that time, regardless if you're hungry or not. That's when you have to do it, right? That's preparing you for work. That's what school is. It prepares you for work. I mean, you learn things, obviously, right? And then you can pursue higher education and you learn more things, and then you can go do a specific work. But school prepares you for work and the dynamics of a workplace. So we're taught this. This is not something we've just developed. We behave that way. We've learned it that way. We figured out who benefits from us doing it that way. And it's something we've been taught. And society reinforces it by demonizing people that say, like Bernie, that say, oh, we should have these 32-hour work weeks. We should be spending less time doing work and more time with our families and more time doing self-fulfilling things that make us happy as people, to keep the morale up, to keep the love for life up, to keep the zest for life up. Those people are demonized. Every time I've heard about the thing, if I was not a person that like researched what was being said, every time I've heard about this initiative via Bernie Sanders, I've heard about it in opposition. In like a demonized type of way. Bernie wants to raise your taxes by having people only work 32 hours a week, and that's going to make your taxes go up and things like that. That's how you hear about it. That's exactly how you hear about it, right? So that's how they reinforce it. You become a villain. You become other, right? Who would want to work less? Who would want to make less money? Because obviously if you're working less, you're making less money, right? He wants you to make less money. He wants to tax you more and have you make less money. You become other. You become ostracized. That way, when people see you become ostracized, they think, even if I agree with them, I don't want that same fate to become me. So I will not say that that's what I would like. I will not say that I would rather that, because I would not want to be other. And then that's on the global front. Well, not global, but that's on the societal front. Then you have family, right? You have family, you have culture, you have your gender, you have your race, relationships, the media, all of that, right? Social media, rise and grind. You ain't grinding, you ain't rising. Always be creating, always be doing it. Hey, if you have a hobby, you should be creating, you should be monetizing that hobby. You can't have anything just for yourself. Everything is a business. You got to be on the go. If you're not doing, they're outworking you. They're making more money than you, right? You get to see the girls on social media that have more things than you because they monetized everything, because they're making money. They use their hobby as a way to make money. You ain't doing that. You falling behind, twin, right? That's what that looks like. Your parents, you can't say, Daddy, I'm facing burnout. This is too much. I hate my job. I say this very often to my dad, and he's like, oh, you have one of those jobs that you have to get invested in, so you should just stay there. I'm like, I literally hate this, and it makes me want to pluck my eyeballs out, Daddy. Doesn't matter. That's a good job, Savannah. That's a good job. Okay? So, it's not just the powers that be. The powers at be have tricked us so shamelessly, and they'll tell you, yeah, yeah, we do it. They've done it so shamelessly that we've all decided that it's normal. This is what we do. This is who we are as an American, right? The American dream. When they sell it to you, they sell you this fantastic job. They sell you this job that you work on so long that you can gather all of this money to get a house. Then you get married. It has a white picket fence. You have the children that you also have to pay for, and all of these things. That's what they sell you. They don't tell you that the job is going to be strenuous on your mental health. They're going to want you to have experience that you couldn't possibly have in most cases, or they want you to have a degree that they deem as useless for a job that is at an entry level, and you're going to work that job, but Bob, an accountant, has been an accountant for 378 years of his life, and he refuses to die so that you can move up in the company. So you will always be at this entry level position, and it won't be enough to buy that house. Or if it finally is enough to buy that house, you're going to buy the house, and then the economy is going to tank about like 5 years later, and then you're going to go belly under on the house. Right? It's going to depreciate in value, not appreciate in value. So you couldn't sell it to get from up under it. And then you're going to have that. And then you're going to have the wife, right? You're going to meet the girl and she's going to be great. You're going to have the wife, or you're going to meet the husband and he's going to be great. You're going to have the husband, and then you guys are going to have this. Remember, because you want the American dream. You are then going to have the children, right? And they don't tell you that then if your wife is Black, she's more likely to die in childbirth, right? Because they don't take her needs seriously. And she could die. Or if she does live, well, you guys are going to be saddled with a bill. And God forbid her pregnancy is like not like the easiest going and she can't just push him out and you guys have to have surgery or things like that. Because then the bill is going to be higher, right? So you're going to be in debt from giving birth to the children of the American dream. Then you have to pay those bills too. You have to pay to have the child. You have to pay to take the child home because it's not free. Then the price of raising said child has gone up dramatically, and you have to buy all the things, because if you don't buy all the things, then you're not great parents. You have to put them in all the sports. You have to put them in all the enrichment, because if you don't, you're not great parents, right? So that is how it looks. That is what it is. And if you don't do all of these things and have the house and have the picket fence and have the wife and have the children and raise the children and pay for the children and send the children to the great schools so that they can eventually get the same, or if not a better job, because maybe that was the mistake that you made. You didn't get a better job. So now they have to go to better schools to get better jobs, and paying for the better schools, a joke, right? And then, if you don't do all of those things, you're not a real American. Because you're refusing the American dream. How could you do that? That's what we have here. That's what we got, right? So let's get into the real shit. My experiences with burnout. Let me tell you, your girl is going through it at this very moment. As we speak, I can name 382 things that I am thinking about right now that are sending me like into a spiral. Now, my little white hairs aside, work is of course I've gotten on to work and talked about work the most. Work is my biggest stressor, but right now I happen to be off of work. Work got so bad for me that it caused me so much stress. I had bipolar 2. It was flaring that up. Like I was having a whole situation. Of course, it's a chemical imbalance, so it's always happening. But like the symptoms were worsening. The depression was getting worse. Everything was just terrible. I was crying all the time. I'm so burnt out. They're overworking me. They're making me do other people's positions at my job. Positions that I applied for, mind you, and did not get. So you obviously didn't want me to do them, but now you want me to do them, but you don't want to pay me to do them. So you did want me to do them. You just didn't want to pay me to do them. Okay? But all of that was culminating in me having these crying spells at work and like not being able to like fully regulate my emotions, and they were so terrible. I had to go to a psych. I had to go to a therapist and a psych, and your girl got put on Zoloft, right? Now, am I taking that? We ain't gonna talk about all that right now because like everything else is going on. Okay, people are dying, Kim. But I also see my therapist, so that I do regularly do on the hour. I saw my therapist. I met this woman. First meeting, she was like, oh, yeah, no, this is not great. You're not doing really well, right? And how destabilizing it was to meet someone and to say, oh, yeah, no, you're not okay. I don't know you from a can of paint, but this ain't it, right? I think you should step away from work. for 2 months actually, and do IOP, because you need that. And I've only spoken to you for an hour and I know that you need that. So yeah, that's my recommendation. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She meant exactly what she meant, right? She sent my referral over that day. They called me that day. So currently, all that to say, I am out of work doing an IOP, which is intensive in words are hard, intensive outpatient therapy, right? Now work wasn't the only thing that contribute to that. Family contribute to that. Health contribute to that, right? But work was the biggest stressor. Okay. Now, when we get on the topic of family, my family dynamic is a little bit different than others, but it's mine. It's my style, okay? Currently, my dad is 79 years old. My dad had me in his 50s. My dad has been an old man all my life. And I have one older sibling who is a brother who is a jackass, for lack of a better word, okay? And he is not a very responsible adult. So you can only infer who the responsibility for my father falls upon. That's me. My dad also has heart failure and COPD, right? So you can imagine how much health stuff is always on the table. Things are always happening. And my daddy just old and ornery too. He is. He's like old and grumpy. Okay. Imagine like old man Jenkins sitting on the like porch in a rocking chair that's angry all the time. That's my daddy. Love him to death. But that's my daddy. So like he always irritated. I'm always irritated junior. But yeah, so all of that healthcare, all of that falls upon me. The appointments, the talking to the doctors, the getting of the medicine, the cleaning of the house, the wound care sometimes that go on with the legs, right? All of those things fall on me. I'm the caregiver. I'm the Uber driver. I am the appointment maker and secretary. I am the legal paper filler outer, okay? He gets upset. He want to go take out a warrant. I got to take time off work to go down to the courthouse and go with him to take out a warrant because I got to fill out the paperwork, right? That's what my life looks like. If he gets sick, I have to take off of work. And we just recently had a situation about a month ago today, actually, where I went out on a camping trip with my boyfriend and my best friend and her boyfriend. We all went camping. I saw him the day before I went camping. I saw him the day of leaving for camping. And it was a 3-day camping trip. I came back to this man being on a ventilator in the hospital. It was that fast. So you can't even really carve out time for yourself. Just a small 3-day trip. Medical emergency happened. I almost lost you there. So there's that. And then on my mother's side, I'm the oldest daughter. Congratulations to me. I've hit the jackpot twice in a row. I have a younger sister who is a lot. And I have a younger brother who I worry about, but like I've kind of washed my hands of too. So there is always something, even when there's nothing, there is something, right? And it makes you go, bleh. Things that make you go, meh, fuck. So what I've learned about burnout is that it doesn't matter. Like you can do all the right things. It doesn't matter. You can plan for every eventuality. You can be hyper vigilant. You can be hyper focused. It's coming, babe. It's coming because there will be something to stress you out. I can't stress enough how there will always be something to stress you out. And of course, I can say I've made some mistakes along the way when it comes to how I've gotten to this level of burnout. Because sometimes you got to tell people no. And sometimes you got to be able to say, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I refuse to subscribe to that. I won't be a part of that, right? And if you forego saying those things due to social obligation, due to keeping the peace, due to not wanting to be seen as argumentative or as not a team player at work. Then there was a famous poet, I believe it was Nikki Giovanni, if I'm not mistaken. She says, the gist of it, it's not going to be correct. It's not going to be the perfect quote. I could look it up right now, but I'm in a flow state, okay? But the quote basically says, if you're silent, they will kill you and say that you enjoyed it. That is the antithesis of what burnout and burnout culture is. If you do not say, hey, stop doing this to me. Hey, I don't like that. Then you are actively consenting to whatever is bringing you stress. Whatever is causing that burnout, if you don't actively say, I don't like it, I'm not enjoying this, I don't want to do this, then they're going to say you were complicit in what was going on. You're complicit in what has happened to you. You never told us that you didn't like that. You never told us that you don't want to do that. You never told us that that's not the part that you wanted to play. And since you consented to playing this part, unfortunately, that is your role forever. Right? Wrong. Because I used to believe that, right? Since I chose to be this person, since I chose to step in for other people's problems, since I chose to be the person that everybody can come to and everybody has to come to and say, Elle, fix my problem, please. Since I chose that, that's who I have to be forever. It's my fault. I can never get up out of that. That's a lie, right? Because all you have to do is stop. No, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. And I'm not saying that people will not be mad at you, because people are going to be furious, right? If you've played a specific role so long and then you turn around and say, I don't want to be that actor anymore, right? People are going to be like, well, why not? You don't love me anymore? Because when you were that actor, I felt like you loved me. I got to reap the benefits of your labor. And your labor is evidence of love to me, right? Because that's what it's always been. So now that you're not doing that, I don't feel like you love me no more. You don't love me? Right? I'm not saying that people won't say that, because that's what they're going to say. That's exactly what they're going to say. Oh, you think you're better than me. You think you're better than me. You don't want to help me because you don't want me to be great, because you think you're better than me. Does not make sense. Would never make sense. But there has to be a reason. There has to be something there that says, yes, this is the reason that they don't want to play the role that they have been cast to play. They've been playing the role forever, and all of a sudden they got a problem with it? You think shit supposed to change around here? You think we supposed to evolve around here, homie? Absolutely not. Right? So I'm not saying that none of those things will be true, because they will be. But your mistake and my mistake, I can't say it's your mistake. Hopefully it's not. And hopefully if it is, you listen to this and realize you don't have to do that. That is not who you have to be. You do not have to continue to subscribe to something. Like when you got like Netflix, right? And you subscribe to Netflix and you pay into that, right? You can stop paying for Netflix and unsubscribe. Same shit. You've subscribed to this role. You said, this is the actor I'm going to be. This is the thing I'm going to do. You can just not do that anymore. You can unsubscribe from that. Of course, when you unsubscribe from Netflix, they try to get you to stay in. They try to, guilt you. Hey, you're going to miss all of these great things. You're going to miss all of these great TV shows. We got some new shit coming out. You don't want to see that? You don't want to be a part of that? We can give you a little bit off on your subscription if you want to stick with us, right? You can see those same dynamics in your family. Oh my God, so you don't want to hang out with us? You don't want to do things with us? Okay, I guess you just don't want to be around. You don't want to come to this. You don't want to do that. She don't care about us. We're not going to invite her to places. We're not going to do things with her. Because there has to be some incentive. If we other you, if we ostracize you, because there it is again, if we make you feel like you're incorrect, you're wrong, you're going to want to stay here. You're going to want to do what we want you to do, what we've gotten used to you doing, what we now need you to do, because we haven't done it for so long that you're the only person that can do it. That's what we need, right? And When you buy into that mentality and say, all right, cool, it can never be another way, then you become complicit. For me, moments when my perspective changed on this, right? It had to be last year when I got really, really sick mentally. And it was because I had gone through so much that year, right? I had me and my sister had already lived together. Financially, things weren't going great there. My brother moved in after him and my mother, who are both very volatile people, got into an altercation after he was released from prison. And then he and I ended up getting into altercations and such because of his behavior. And he lost his job, and then he couldn't pay his portion of the rent, and then we were back in financial fuck up, right? And I am the older sibling and I have the better job, and the financials are falling on me. And I'm still at this job because I've been in my job for 3 years. So I'm at this job and I hate it and it's terrible and things are happening to me, right? And I get to a point where I'm like, I'm facing burnout. It's insane. I got to get help. I get help. I go to get help. I go to a psychiatrist, not my current psychiatrist, but a different psychiatrist. I go there. I get put on medication, and I've spoken about this before, but it was like, it was a turnstone. It taught me so much in life. Like, it was a turnstone, cornerstone for you, girl. Okay. But I go to get help. The help does me worse. It nearly does me in, but does me worse, right? But I was like, okay, I can't do the medication anymore, right? Because the medication fucked me up. It fucked me up. Can't do the meds anymore, right? So what am I going to do when I get off the meds? Because if I can't do the meds, that means I got a raw dog life, right? But I can't keep raw dogging life in the same way that I'm currently doing, because that got me to the point where I needed the meds, which fucked me up, right? It became cyclical, right? I could look at each point on the database and say, this started and then I did this and it took me to doing that. And then it took me here, and here is where I'm fucked up. But the next data point is going to be back where I started, unless I change it, right? So say the data points look like this. Okay, I had something. I had a juice. Let's make it very simple. I had a juice, right? I saw my sister. My sister did not have a juice. My sister would like juice. I gave my sister some of my juice, right? And she drank the juice and she was happy. Then my brother came, and my brother saw that me and my sister were drinking juice and said, I would like some juice too. I still had juice, so I gave my brother some juice, and now my sister has juice and she is drinking and she is happy, and my brother has juice and he is drinking and he is happy. I have less juice, but I still have juice. Well, after that, my father comes along and says, hey, I too would like some juice. I see all of you guys drinking juice and being happy, and I would also too like to drink juice and be happy. Well, I already have less juice because I've given juice to my brother and my sister, but this is my dad. So I am going to give my dad a cup of juice too. Now, I definitely at this point am very low on juice, but my sister has juice and is happy. My brother has juice and is happy and is drinking it, and my dad has juice and he is happy too. So I have effectively given juice to everyone, right? And I am very low on juice, right? I have 3/4 less juice than I had because I gave it away. But at this point, everybody has juice, right? So I should have nothing else to worry about. I shouldn't have to worry about anybody else asking me for juice because everybody got juice, until my brother spills his juice. My brother spills his juice, right? And he goes to my sister and says, hey, can I have some of your juice? I spilled my juice. My sister says, I really can't give you none of my juice. I really didn't have that much. Go back to L. L had the juice, right? And he comes to me and says, I spilled my juice. I said, I don't have no more juice to give you, really, because I just really spilled, like, I gave away all of my juice. I only have enough juice for me now because I gave you guys, like, a lot of my juice. And he was like, but, like, why wouldn't you give me juice? You gave me juice before. I know, but I had more juice to give at that point. I don't have any more juice to give away. I only have enough juice for myself because I already gave you some. You just happened to spill it. And then my dad will chime in, well, why won't you give him some juice? You gave him some juice the first time. I said, I know, Dad, but I also gave her juice and I gave you juice. And I already gave him juice and he spilled it. It's very selfish of you to not give him some juice. Well, Daddy, you give him some juice. Well, I don't have juice. You're the one with all the juice. I only have this little bit of juice that you gave me. I have the same amount of juice as you, Dad, because I gave all three of you guys some of my juice. Right? Now, old me would have been guilted because then my sister pops in and says, well, you should just give him some juice. Just give him some juice. That's going to shut everybody up. Everybody will be fine if you just give him some juice. I said, can't you guys come together and give him half of your juice and then that would give him some juice? Because mind you, I've given all of you guys juice and nobody else has given juice but me. And I only have this little bit left for myself. And they're like, nah, we can't give away juice. Remember, we only got a little bit of juice from you, but you had all the juice. And you continuously say, I've given away most of the juice because I gave it to all of you. I don't have much left. Now that's where you hit the turning point. In the past, you've been pressured by all of these people, or I've been pressured by all of these people to give them the juice. I would just give them the juice. I don't want to hear this. And now everybody's looking at me and I'm going to be the bad person if I don't give him the juice, right? I give him the juice, but then I don't have any juice at all. I now have an empty cup because I've given him my juice and I had already given everybody else my juice. So now I have no juice at all. But everybody else has juice and everybody else is happy and everybody else is content and they're drinking their juice and they're happy. And I have no juice. So what would be the next step? Well, in this old scenario, I would go work hard, make the money, and get some more juice. But by the time I've gone and worked hard and got more money and got more juice, everybody else is finished with their juice. And they see me again with my jug of juice and they want some. So now the cycle starts again. We've made it back to the top of the cycle where I have juice and nobody else has juice. And now everybody wants your juice, right? So I got to a point where I could pinpoint in the cycle where was next, what was happening next in the cycle. And I was like, either you're going to continue the cycle that's caused you to get to where you are, and you're going to keep repeating it, or you're going to stop. You have two options. Go, stop. I chose stop. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I will not be doing it. Right? So that's how it switched for me. I noticed everybody else was getting juice and I didn't have no fucking juice. But I bought the juice. It was my juice. And everybody else was getting it and enjoying it. And I didn't get to enjoy no fucking juice. And I was tired of that because a bitch be thirsty too sometimes, okay? I'm still, even though I have, completed this arc, I'm still working through it. That's the fucked up part. You identify, you start to try to rectify, but you still have to face the backside of it, right? I saw the way that things were going. I said, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore, right? But this could also cause you more stress in the long run, right? Like, perfect example. We all were in that house. The house was in my name. The bills were in my name. I was paying majority of the bills. Me and my brother got into it. He had to leave my house. Me and my sister stayed to the end of the lease. I decided I wasn't going to renew the lease anymore, right? And okay, great. I moved into another place. My sister did her own thing, right? But then with her doing her own thing, things started to backfire and shift around, right? So now I'm worried about her on the back end of that because now that also has to be fixed, right? But in taking myself out of the main category of being the fixer, I've found that it's easier for me to not be the solution, but help find solutions, right? Like with her situation, I'm not going to get into it because it ain't my business and it's not y'all business neither. Stop being nosy. But I'm able to find solutions, right? When I take myself out of the problem, when I am no longer inside the problem, I'm able to look at things objectively from the outside and say, oh, here's a solution. There's a solution. We can do this. We can do that. But had I been in the situation with her, I would have been too crowded. You know, when they say you can't see the forest for the trees, it would have been that same situation because I'm in it. I'm in the forest. So I can't see the whole forest because I only see the trees that are around me because I am in the problem with you. But I've become a more effective person in people's lives, and I get to choose because that's the biggest part of it. I get to choose what I want to pick up. I'm not automatically in it with you. I say, I don't want to be your main source of this anymore, and I choose not to be your main source of this. But when you do have an issue and a problem, if I see fit enough for me to be a thinking mind in this, like if I want to become the think tank on how to fix this for you, I can, but it's never my obligation, right? And of course, it still causes stress. Don't get me wrong, I was stressed out about it, but I think I found solutions for her in record time. It may have taken us like a week or so to get everything fixed, but it's fixed. It's relatively fixed. Like, you know, with my dad, he also has situations going on, but I've been taking myself out of the problem, right? Daddy, this is your problem. I'm going to help you fix it, but you can't say this is our problem because it's not. This is your problem. Because if I'm in the inside with you, I have to stress out like you stressed out because I have things going on that you have going on. But if this is your problem, I can look at it objectively. I can be on the outside of this. I can say, hey, these are things that we can do. This is how we can fix what's going on, right? These are the steps that I'm going to take. But if I'm in here, I'm panicking, right? It's like firefighters. Like when you call a firefighter, right? If you're in a burning room and you call the firefighter is on the outside of the burning room making a plan to come in and get you and put your fire out and fix the fire, right? That is what the firefighter is doing. But if you're a firefighter inside of a burning room, you're worried about getting yourself out of this fire. You're worried about protecting the people that's in the fire with you. You can't worry about fighting the fire. You don't have a means to fight the fire because you're not in firefighter. You're a firefighter, yes, but you're not in uniform. You don't have your hose. You don't have your, like, extinguishers. You don't have all of that if you're the firefighter in a room and the room catches on fire, right? So either you have to get to a point where either I'm going to be the firefighter in the room with you and I have to panic with you. I may have a more level head than you, but I'm also going to panic because I'm in the situation too. Or you have to be outside of the situation. You have to be the firefighter coming in to save the people, right? And I have been choosing lately to be the firefighter that's coming in to save the people. Now, the only difference between me and that firefighter, they can't choose whether they're going to be a part of that. I get to choose. I get to say, I'm going to help you fight that fire. I'm going to be a part of that. I also get to say, nope, not my fire. I really can't put out that fire today. I'm sorry. So I got it a little bit better than the firefighter. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. So, it's just so much, like, and it becomes such a thing. But all of these things are a part of burnout. This is how we get there. It's how we've been conditioned to be there and not question it that makes it such a taboo subject, right? Because you can sit down with people, and I did recently. I was with my family a few days ago, and I think it was me, my aunt, and my sister, and we were sitting down, and I was trying to explain to them with the situation with my dad that it is a lot. And it's not that I am upset by what I have to do or what I feel like I want to do with my dad. It's that it's everything but. Me and my dad right now have everything but a daughter-daughter relationship because I am everything, right? And you can say this wrecks relationships. It does. Because you'll get to the point where, okay, do I feel like it's not, do I want to go see my dad? It's, do I feel like going to be a caregiver today? Do I feel like being an Uber driver today? Do I feel like being a secretary today? Do I feel like taking notes and writing down the minutes for our meeting? That's what it becomes. So it's not, do I want to go see my dad and go take him to dinner? No, it's going to become a business meeting because we got to talk about all of these things that he wants to do and not about like regular life, right? And you try to explain that to the people. You try to explain that to the people. And generationally, I think also it's kind of different because my aunt is like, maybe I want to say Generation X, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And she's like, it's an obligation. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how it goes, you know? And I'm like, I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, my good sis. Okay. I can love you down and, we can disagree about certain things, but we can also agree on certain things. And I don't think this is one we're going to agree on. We're going to have to agree to disagree. And it gets to like a point of contention with people. Because, you can say, yeah, this is how I feel about these things. But if they don't agree with you, sometimes they'll look at you like you're crazy. And they'll be like, oh, you're a terrible person. And you got to be like, okay, it's cool for you to think I'm a terrible person, right? That's where you have to also get to. It's cool for you to not agree with how I feel about a certain subject. That's fine. I'll be okay. Well, we're to my favorite part. What did we learn? What are we learning? What did we learn? We learned that burnout is a symptom of a greater societal issue. That until we confront it and until we unlearn the things that we've been taught for centuries, until we start learning differently, it's easy to be othered or ostracized for believing differently, especially when it comes to things like hustle culture and, moving, grooving, always being on the go. It leads to burnout. It does. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to believe that. It's okay to tell other people, hey, you might want to slow down because if you don't, you could be sending yourself into a spiral. You can send yourself right into burnout. It's okay to feel that way. Things I still have to unlearn is that it's all or nothing, right? It never has to be all or nothing. Because even in finding out how to say, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be a part of this, you don't have to say that to the whole situation. You can be, I don't want to be a part of this part of the situation, but I can help you out with that part, right? I can be your support system for this part of the situation, but that I won't have anything to do with. I don't have to take on the whole thing. I can be a part of your support system, right? That's where people get confused. You have to be in all or nothing if you're going to help someone. No, I can be a part of their support system, right? I don't have to be their whole support system. I don't have to be the only one, but I can say, I want to be a part of what you're trying to do. I want to be a part of fixing your problem and be totally valid as someone that says, yeah, I'll fix your whole problem. Me and that person are the same amount of valid. Okay. And things I wish I knew sooner. My God, it is not the hallmark of a bad person to not want to be someone's everything, to not want to be the person that takes on everything, to say, I don't want to do that. That does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a person that is not generous or that is not empathetic or compassionate. It makes you a human. It makes you a human with capabilities. Sometimes things go further than you are capable of going. Sometimes the scope of a problem is bigger than what you can take on. And you have to be okay with saying, that's bigger than what I can do. That's bigger than all of the energy that I would have for this problem. Double it and give it to the next person. Okay, don't say that last part, but like, you have to be on top of it for yourself, right? You have to have your own cup. You have to pour from your cup, yes, but you have to also realize that you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? And if you keep pouring and pouring and pouring, you're never going to put anything back in. My dad has this analogy that he tries to tell me when it comes down to money, because he thinks I'm terrible with money, which I kind of am a little bit, but like not too much, okay? Not too much on me. He says, if you have a trash can, like think like the dumpster that they come get in the morning, like you put all of your trash in and they come and get the dumpster, like those little green or blue ones, depending on where you're from, right? The one that you sit outside your house. Think that if you have a trash dumpster, like trash can full of pennies, and every day you took a penny, right? If things were like a penny, like if we could use pennies, if they were not worthless in this economy. But every day you took a penny to pay for something, right? Say you got to take a penny. You're going to keep taking pennies, right? Well, even with that huge dump truck of pennies, if every day you take a penny and you never put any pennies back, you will still eventually, no matter how big this dump truck is, run out of pennies. There will be a day where there will be no more pennies to give, because you're never putting anything back. That's the same with your cup. If you're always pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring, and you never stop to refill your cup, or if you never have any limits on how much you can pour and pour and pour, eventually there will be no more liquid in the cup to pour. That's just how it is. That's just the reality of everything. And the sooner that you realize, or the sooner that I realized that that was the case, I was able to learn how to preserve my own cup and still pour, but still have some for myself. If I were meeting someone that was going through burnout or any of the situations that I've talked about, like today, like anything, I would say, hey, do you want to continue on where you are? Is this sustainable? Like, if it's work burnout, is it sustainable? Is it sustainable for your mental health? Because you have to live with you every single day. You have to live with your mind every single day. You have to live with your body every single day. You have to live with you, right? And this is obviously having an effect on you. Can you continue to live with it? If nothing changed for the next 20 years, would you be happy living with what you have right now? The things that you're allowing for yourself, the way that you're allowing yourself to go through life right now, would you be okay with that? If the answer is no, then we have to work towards something that we'll be okay with. I'm not saying it has to be the complete opposite. I would never say that you have to change all of who you are, but it's going to be, it has to be something that you can actually live with. It has to be something that can sustain you, that you can feel fulfilled with. Because if not, you have to live with it. And unfortunately, some people don't realize that they can't live with it until it's too late, and then they take drastic measures. And I would never want that for anybody. So that's exactly what I would say. Now, for me, what I'm going to do differently, or continue to do differently, because I've been doing it. Like, I'm not getting on here and saying, hey, this is how you should be living, and I'm talking the talk and not walking the walk. No. I have been doing a great job at being less stressed out. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still stressed, but I'm less stressed than I was, okay? And that's the name of the game. You want less of it. And if you continue to get less and less of it, eventually you won't have as much of it as you were having. right? Like if I had a handful of things and I kept putting some of it down, I'm not putting all of it down at one time because that's just not possible. It's not feasible. But if I keep just slowly putting things down, eventually I won't have as much in my hand. My arms won't be as bogged down. It won't be as heavy because I have put some things down and I continuously put them down. Even if I put them down slowly, I put them down. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to continue to put things down slowly, continue to keep and protect my level of autonomy when it comes down to other people's problems as well as my own. Now, my favorite part of our show, because we're getting to the end, is the bullshit that I am leaving behind. I am leaving behind the thought process that love is sacrifice. That is something that you do for others. It's something that you do for yourself. If you love yourself, you will sacrifice your wants and needs to keep a stable job so that you have a stable job, even though it makes you unhappy. If you love yourself, that's what you do. If you love your family, you sacrifice your wants and needs to make sure that everybody is okay and make sure everything is moving smoothly for everybody. Be damned if it makes you feel miserable because you have to put others ahead of yourself, right? I am leaving behind lack of autonomy. Oh my God, it's gonna rain. Well, that's what I'm leaving behind. So, that's the conclusion of our show today. It was a little heavy, and believe me, this was not our original topic. I tried recording other topics today, but they would not go right. My words would not flow because there was something I needed to speak about, and I believe that this was it because this was smooth and this was great. And I'm happy that you're listening. I'm happy to be talking to you. And of course, this has been B is for Bullshit. Now, of course, our podcast notes at the end of our podcast, we are available on Spotify and we're going to be available on some other places too, mainly YouTube. So if you want to listen on YouTube, you're going to head over to B is for BS Podcast. That's where we are on YouTube. We got full length videos. Yay. But if you want to just send me something, you want to tell me about the sky not being blue, about how much you hate the tone of my voice, about how much you love the tone of my voice, about how you think I'm such a great host, you can send me an email. And of course, my business email is going to be business.bs. No, that's wrong. business.bsforbs.podcast@gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Threads and Instagram at another.podcast, another BS podcast. Something's wrong there. And on TikTok, you can hit me up at another BS podcast. So for Threads and Instagram, let me just make sure that's correct. That's going to be at another.bs podcast. So sorry for that little blurb, but it's fine. We're going to leave it in and we are out of here. Again, remember, B is for bullshit. And that's okay because bitch, this shit is hard. I will see y'all next time when we talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but B will be for something because we will always be here. All right. I love you and good night.